I want you to do me a favor. I want you to tell all your friends about me.
What are you?
I am Spock.
I'm Gandalf.
I'm Hermione Granger.
I am Kira.
Katniss Everdeen.
I am your father.
I'm Batman.
Welcome to the Geek Tank on 600 WREC.
Welcome, everyone. We are the Geek Patrol, and our microphones don't have a stun setting. You can check us out at geektankradio.com. You can like us on Facebook at Geek Tank Radio. And this show is brought to you by the Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention, the Memphis Gaming Expo, and by Dark Oak Press and Media. To learn more about those, go to memphiscfc.com or darkoakpress.com. Today we're joining you from 6 miles under the pyramid in Memphis, Tennessee. I'm Joe Thorderson.
I'm Alan Gilbreth.
And I'm Brandon Olmstead.
So, what is Geek Tank Radio? Well, this show is going to be your home for exciting talk about everything in the geek universe. We'll be interviewing celebrities from the geek culture. We'll be pontificating on geek topics of the day, and we'll be talking even about real hard science. And, of course, you're going to have an opportunity to win fabulous prizes each week in our Geek Tank giveaway contest. We have a great show for you today. At the bottom of the hour, we're going to be talking to our buddy Chance Raspberry. Chance is an animator from the Simpsons, and he's going to be giving us an inside look at the world of animation. But before that, I thought it was appropriate to mention today is April 4th, and of course here in Memphis, that is a historic day. This, of course, is the anniversary of the tragic death of Dr. Martin Luther King. But, guys, I thought it would be appropriate to mention an interesting story about Dr. King. It turns out he was a big Star Trek fan. And, in fact, he was responsible for saving the character of Uhura. Isn't that right, Alan?
I have heard that legend. I heard he was a little bit of a Trekkie back in the day.
Yeah. And apparently he had Nichelle Nichols, who played Uhura on the original Star Trek, was, her lines were being cut. She was running into some issues with her character. She didn't feel her character was being respected or given enough screen time, and she was actually at the point she was ready to quit. And she crossed paths with Dr. King, and he said that, of course, Star Trek was a wonderful show. It was breaking all sorts of new ground, and Uhura was a very important character, and he urged her not to quit, and she said she was so inspired by that meeting that from that point on, she was, fully ready to invest herself in that. And so if you're a fan of Uhura, you have Dr. Martin Luther King to thank. But anyway, this last couple of weeks was out in the Mid-South was a big time for sci-fi, and in fact, we just celebrated our 33rd Mid-South Con. And Alan, what is the Mid-South Con?
Well, Mid-South Con is a fan-run convention. It's been rolling in Memphis now, Brandon, about 34 years?
About 34.
Yeah, they had a skipped year in there somewhere.
Right.
Yeah, 33 years of... If you've never been to a science fiction convention, people, you really need to go to one of these things. All right. Yes, it is everything you have ever seen on The Big Bang and everything like that. It can get a little nerdy. It can get a little geeky.
Really?
It can get a little silly. There's a lot of people running around in costume. Of the coolest part of going to a convention, the absolute coolest part. If you've got a favorite actor, actress, writer, artist, cartoonist,
really anybody in the geek culture, right?
Absolutely.
Anybody, you might be at breakfast with them.
Right.
You might get stuck on an elevator with them. You might get to bump into them in the hall.
Right. And you get to see them with their guard down. So, when they're off camera and when they're not, when the veneer's kind of, exposed. And
but you kind of get, what's very funny is a lot of really serious, dour characters.
Those are usually the most...
or the biggest cut-ups.
The silliest people you'll come across.
A quick shout-out to our buddy Santiago Cirillo from The Walking Dead.
Oh, yeah.
That is not a laugh-a-minute television show.
No, it's not. And it's very intense, very morbid, very disgusting.
Well,
and yet
they're killing dead things. Come on. How happy is this going to get?
We've got a guy here who, the first time we see him, he's in a cell block with the flu, which they have no cure for.
Right.
The next time we see him, he's in a firefight with a warring faction from outside the their prison, and to see this guy up front, first off, he does not run out of energy.
No.
If you could if you could manage to plug in to Santiago, you could power a city block indefinitely.
And this is the kind of stuff that you run into and you do at conventions.
Yeah.
Again, your favorite cartoon artist, your favorite comic book people. Everybody's there. Everybody's relaxed. Go chill, be groovy. Of course, I'm over in the writing side.
Right.
So, over at our booths, we're, one of the Toastmasters this year was Elizabeth Donald, a lovely award-winning author. So, it's very cool. If you're a big fan, you get to just go by the table and sit around and chat and figure out what's going on and how, what their next book's going to be, or you can get a signature. It's an interesting way of spending a weekend.
Oh, yeah.
And it also is a great way to be introduced to new writers, new artists that you haven't seen, who haven't necessarily had their huge break yet. It's like, or you might be sitting there talking with someone who you've seen at every convention you've been at in the past 3 years, and lo and behold, someone comes up and you and this individual are talking a book, convince this person who's walked up to buy this book, and then you realize, oh my God, that is Shane Hensley, our gaming guest of honor, creator of Deadlands, and he just bought the book that Tommy has me and my crew, creating a game for.
Yeah.
I think it's just, you just go, whoa.
I think my favorite thing is there's comic book artists, real professionals in the business, and I love the fact that you can go up to a DC or Marvel comic book artist and have them, commission a drawing, let them draw you as a superhero or draw your original character, and that's a one-of-a-kind piece of art, and it's usually a lot more affordable than people think. I think that's one of the coolest souvenirs you can walk away with from a convention. So, but Mid-South Con, there was some awards given out, isn't that right?
Absolutely. I was about to bring up this was the 2015 Daryl Awards presented at Mid-South Con 33. And the Daryl Awards are all about supporting literacy of as I call up the screen here in front of me, of their new inductee for the 2015 Daryls was Mr. Jeff Crook for basically his volume of work over the years.
Excellent.
He is the new Cadre Memorial Hall of Fame. He's inducted for, I can think of at least 20 years worth of work out there. Dream Thief '4 by Jai Nitz was the winner of the other media category. First time a comic book. All right, guys.
Shout out to that.
Comics.
Awesome.
Comic books, take the other media award. Barry, a short film by Matthew Graves, was the first runner-up in that category. And then we're going to get to, I've always wanted to say this. We get to a personal friend of mine.
Oh.
So.
He says that like he doesn't know everybody anyway.
Right.
Well, hey, what can I say?
We should mention that Alan is the founder of Dark Oak Press, and you can expect a lot of shameless plugs on this broadcast.
They're not shameless if he convinces me to do it.
Right.
That's true, and I'm good at talking you into things. So, The Five Faces, a Marquette novel by Mr. Frank Tuttle. I will give away a quick thing about Frank. Not only is he an awesome writer, not is he a great guy, he is also a paranormal investigator.
Oh, tell us what a paranormal investigator's life is like. What do they do?
I am definitely interested.
Well, I did an investigation with him not long ago that's probably going to get turned into a show right now through the cemetery there in Birmingham, downtown. Okay. So we got to spend all night walking around an urban graveyard at night. Did I mention this was at night?
At night.
Right.
In downtown Birmingham.
Right.
All through the graveyard, and going ghost hunting with Mr. Frank Tuttle is a little like hunting Casper the Ghost with Inspector Gadget.
Oh, my gosh.
He makes the wildest, coolest devices.
Excellent.
And brings them with him, and he is just clanking and rattling and buzzing and whirring, and it's great. But,
I believe we need to talk with Mr. Tuttle about a Geek Patrol field trip.
Field trip, exactly.
Oh, yeah. Well, we've also got, Tanya Van de Steeg locally, and Stephen Gunther were also there on an investigation with their ghost hunting of prowess. So we will definitely have them on the show.
Oh, absolutely.
We will definitely get them on the show.
Yeah.
But Five Faces by Frank Tuttle won the 2015 Daryl Award for Best Mid-South Science Fiction, Fantasy, or Horror Novel. Valkyrie's Daughter by John Sears was the first runner-up in the novel category. And then I get to look at this and go, aha, this is all right. Shameless plug warning. Eat Your Peas by Robert J. Krogh won the 2015 Durrell Award for Mid-South Science Fiction, Fantasy, and Horror Short Story. This was appeared in a wonderful anthology called Luna's Children, Full Moon Mayhem, published by my company. But, guys, show some serious werewolf love for Mr. Krogh. This is awesome. He's done a lot of work in the last few years.
Robert's
really
a good guy.
He's a great guy.
He's a good guy. Nice job, Robert.
Yeah, absolutely. His first runner-up is a perpetual award-winning author in the area, Mr. H. David Blaylock, for Stolen Thunder, an urban fantasy short story that appears in Realms of Imagination, also at darkoakpress.com. There's that for shameless. Is that shameless enough for you?
That is very shameless.
Not quite shameless enough, though, Alan. Luna's Children, I immediately jumped on it as soon as I saw they were available. And there are 2 books with that. What are the 2 books?
It's actually twins. You have Luna's Children, which of... You're going to stump me. Stranger Worlds. There we go. I knew the caffeine would kick in. Stranger Worlds of the D. Allen Lewis, the editor of the Luna's Children series, basically came back and said he had a full book for Full Moon Mayhem, but had so many great stories that he wanted to do his Stranger Worlds as well. So he had twins. He had puppies.
Excellent.
The covers look gorgeous next to each other.
Oh, I think they're great. Some of my best work.
Yeah.
So the Darrell Awards were awesome. Mid-South Con was awesome, 33. We've also got what's next in the con circuit for everybody. I'll be going to Sci-Fi-Con at the end of April.
Well, here in the Mid-South, I guess the next event would be the Memphis Comic Expo, which is going to be over at the Agri Center. And don't hold me to it. I think it's June 6th or so. It's the early part of June. We'll have to double-check that. Sorry, guys. I forgot the date. And then we've got Anime Blues Con. And then there is, of course, I have to shamelessly plug my convention now. I'm the founder of the Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention, and I have to be honest, I'm very stoked. Our convention is going to be November 21st or 20th through the 22nd, and our guest of honor is none other than the great Q, John Delancey. And, of course, now he's gaining a lot of fame as he plays the character of Discord in My Little Pony. And in the weeks ahead, we are supposed to be chatting with him as well. So I'm pretty stoked about it. And I have to say I
just got to say one thing, man.
Yeah.
The My Little Pony thing. It scares me.
Oh,
they scare me.
They're good people.
Tell you, man.
The bronies are good people.
The bronies are good people.
They're people. But I do have to say something, because we have other listeners outside of Memphis, and but there is a unique vibe in Memphis. I think what I'm most proud of is that we have about 4 or 5 conventions here in the Mid-South, and yet all of us, we work together. We cross-promote. We help each other build the shows. And our feeling is that, if we build the fan base, we're all going to benefit. There's no reason to view ourselves as competitors, and I think it's just a very cool thing because I don't think it's like that everywhere in the country. I think there's some cities, in fact, where they have a lot of rivalries among the conventions.
They do,
but
we can't forget our buddies over at Anime Blues.
Right. Anime Blues is coming up in July. So
that's when I thought that one was coming up pretty quick. So
yeah,
guys, we have got a lot of geekdom and a lot of fan-based wonderment coming to Memphis, Tennessee. We have just got a lot of great stuff.
Oh, yeah. Memphis. And, of course, we forgot to plug our own, the new Gaming Expo, which is coming up at August 15th. So, again, just to shamelessly plug, if you want to learn more about that, go to memphiscfc.com, and you can check out our Facebook. I think we're going to take a quick break. I want to tell you about one of our sponsors, Jupiter Comics. I got to tell you something. I love this store. Jupiter Comics is run by, these are a bunch of young hotshots. These guys make me feel very old when I go in there. But
because you're old.
It is, yeah. But it's funny. I had this concept. I always thought, you go to a comic book store, and I don't know, sometimes you can wind up being in there for hours. It's not just a place to pick up items. It's a hangout. And I said, man, it'd be great to be able to buy a sandwich or to sit down or whatever.
Yeah, they got their own cafe going on.
And these guys have thought of that. They have Jupiter Comics. It's in Collierville, Tennessee, and it has these guys are great, by the way, but they have an extra room for gaming. They have an extra room where you can they can show movies. You can rent it out for parties, and they also have a cafe.
They got a cafe and a party room.
Oh yeah, it's a fully everything.
It's gamer heaven.
You don't have to. Yeah.
you know, that's one of the things you really love as a geek is to be able to go into a place like this and, you know, basically home away from home.
Right.
You know? I mean,
well, except you don't have to clean up after yourself so much.
You know, back in the day when I was young and didn't have to worry about jobs, responsibilities, or anything, you could find me at the comic shop pretty much 24/7.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
yeah.
at least.
And the beauty,
yes, after hours, several times we'd be up there gaming. Yeah.
Well, the beauty of Jupiter Comics too is that they keep later hours to accommodate us. You know, we get off of work and we don't have a lot of time. They're open till 8 o'clock. Cool. And so, anyway, so our buddies, a shout out to Jupiter Comics. They're at 563 West Poplar Avenue in Collierville, Tennessee. Check them out. They're good people. It's a great hangout, and you need to get in there. Spend your money.
All right. Well, guys, I'm going to jump in and go, all right, I want to start talking about media.
Yes.
There have been a lot of great announcements. There have been a lot of great stuff.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
Did you guys see the Henson Studio announcement?
I have.
Yeah. You have.
Yes,
You're smiling. You're smiling. Yes, yes.
Brandon's excited.
Looking confused.
The theme song has been running through my head nonstop. Now, I know that it's gonna get messed up and flipped, and we're probably going to get a crazy Lady Gaga remix. But as long as she's in a Fraggle costume, it's all worth it.
Tell us the announcement. I have to.
So yes.
All right, that was a disturbing yet somehow provocative image.
I'm going to go even better. Yes, they are bringing back Fraggle Rock as a live action movie.
Yes,
and you know what? I want to see Lady Gaga play the Great Trash Heap. She was the all-wise, all-knowing.
Yes.
Now, guys, I have a confession. I have to admit, I've never watched Fraggle Rock. And for the unenlightened, tell us what Fraggle Rock is,
or just the under 35.
There you go.
Back in the early 80s, basically, Henson Studios came up with just a very lighthearted fare that was actually on HBO, wasn't it?
HBO.
This was actually HBO, Fraggle Rock. And it was just lighthearted. It was these little costume Muppet things that lived in a cave. And
it's what would have happened if they had taken the people,
it was very trippy.
If they had taken the Muppets from Dark Crystal and decided to retrofit them for Sesame Street. That's pretty much what you got with the Fraggles.
Yeah, because you had the little dozer guys building stuff out of either crack or, pure cane sugar.
I want to say it was pure cane sugar.
Because the Fraggles, man, were hyper.
Absolutely.
They were hyper.
All right. Is this I have a question. Is this a sign of Hollywood running out of ideas, or is this cutting edge, out of the box thinking, and this needs to be done?
Probably a little of both.
It can go one of two ways. Either they can ruin my childhood or they can make me nostalgic for it. I mean, it could go either way.
They picked up Joseph Gordon-Levitt, so it looks like it'll be a big movie.
They got a powerhouse cast.
Yeah, so they got looks like they're picking up a nice cast. They got a lot of stuff going on with it. And I got to admit, I am absolutely thrilled to see more Henson productions.
Absolutely.
And
you know what, Alan? I think that you should try and get a hold of him and see if you could be Uncle Traveling Matt.
Uncle.
Because he's got to be in there somewhere.
Man, I would love to be that. All right. Speaking of Joe's concern, are we retreading the past or are we plowing forward?
Yeah.
All right.
Let's hear it.
Chris Carter's announcement.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, see, now everybody I've said that to, everybody gets they start rubbing their hands. Brandon's over here shaking. And if he had a tail, it'd be wagging.
Oh, it's wagging.
Right.
It's wagging.
Chris Carter is going to bring us back 6 episodes of The X-Files.
The X-Files.
Yes.
Excellent.
And it is going to be Agents Mulder and Scully. David Duchovny and Gillian Anderson are to reprise their roles.
When is this happening?
Right now.
Yeah, they're supposed to start filming by late summer. There has not been an actual air date released yet, but we should probably know something here in the coming weeks.
Oh, we are talking 13 years since we saw the last one, and I think this is stunning. I can't wait because, we'll just think of everything that's changed in 13 years.
Well, I mean, it's a great time to bring back the X-Files. I mean, we've kind of moved away from Aliens a lot, except for in the really bad, cheesy movies.
Okay, I want to throw in. We're looking at throwing basically, Mulder loose in the universe with a smartphone. He didn't have a smartphone 13 years ago.
Oh no,
he didn't have the ability to do a metallurgy test on his phone.
Scully's going to be like, Mulder, it's not really aliens. He goes, really? Check my Facebook selfie.
There you go. Yeah, it will be interesting. Technology's changed a lot.
It's him and two little green men just like, throwing peace signs up. It's like retro, Throwback Thursday selfie.
Well, and
did the emoticon exist back then? I'm thinking of the emoticon messages they might send to each other.
Well, they were very simple. They didn't have emoji.
Okay.
No.
Back then you had to put a dot and, you had to put a colon and a dot.
Right.
You had parentheses and stuff. Now they can just have fully interactive.
Oh, right. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So.
Let's see. In other media news okay, Brandon, you get to get all heartbroken. Yeah, that's what I thought. I'm holding up the picture. Jennifer Lawrence is leaving the X-Men franchise at the end of Age of Apocalypse. For those of you who don't know who she plays the
young version.
Revealing character
Mystique.
of Mystique.
Right.
Yes. Rebecca
She pulls it
Stamos.
off.
Rebecca Romaine played her in the originals.
To devastating and wonderful effect.
And actually in First Class, when young Mystique is trying to appear older to Magneto, you see she turns into Rebecca
Yeah, she
Romaine
pulls a cameo in that one.
Because, who wouldn't?
Right. I got to tell you guys, I love the Marvel movies. I mean, I was a kid. I grew up collecting. I was a Marvel guy when I was a kid, and but the movies, the TV shows never lived up to it. There is an exception. I loved the Spider-Man cartoon back in the day, but there was a good...
Well, that was animated.
Right, animated. But there was a good 20-some-odd-year period where they just didn't work. But then now Spider-Man came out, 2000, and that seems to have changed everything. And they're hitting home runs, I think, every time.
I'll go back and pick on Jaws.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the first major, big blockbuster movie that was so great because basically the animatronic didn't work.
That's true.
Poor Bruce.
Bruce. Bruce the shark. There were several of them. Bruce was, as everybody in the movie industry would tell you, Bruce was, you're trying to drag this gargantuan thing through the freaking water.
Right.
So Bruce didn't work all that well, so they had to kind of retool the movie to make it more suspenseful and less action.
Right.
To great effect. And of course, it made people's careers and it changed movies forever.
And it made you never want to go in the ocean again.
And it nearly closed the state of Florida.
Right.
So then let's fast forward up. Let's go to Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park was a good marriage between CGI and having the animatronics.
Right.
And it really showed us that if you wanted to have dinosaurs that didn't look like somebody had taped paper mache to an iguana, you could actually have a good-looking CGI creature. And for close-ups, now we had the advanced technologies that they've made in makeup and prosthetics. Right. So you had really realistic-looking dinosaur parts and pieces.
And actually, they weren't on screen all that much during this. If you look at it,
once again, keeping the suspense so that when you get the reveal, you're like, "Oh my goodness!"
Yeah.
Well, the problem with the superhero movie is you have to do the reveal immediately.
Absolutely,
you've got to have a freaking superhero. And if CGI was so bad that your superhero looked cartoony,
especially the Hulk or any of the...
Well, Lou Ferrigno, bless his heart, did probably the defining job of an actual playing a superhero.
Right.
Because he's 6 foot, 900 feet tall, and he's 40, he's 5 feet wide, and he's, and if you ever get a chance to actually meet him, again, go to a convention, ladies and gentlemen.
Shameless plug.
Plug.
There we go.
Go to a convention. It's incredible. He was truly the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah.
He embodied the character. He played the character. He did it well. But that was just kind of a fluke that you actually had somebody big enough.
Yeah.
Right.
A lot of times they didn't look the part. Right.
Well, think of all the little sad Spider-Man and Thor and Captain America and all the sad
We
attempts.
don't talk about the Spider-Man show that was on, I guess, CBS for a short time.
No, if you want to talk about Spider-Man, you go way back to the Super Sentai stuff. It's like the third or fourth of their series in Japan, where Spider-Man was one of the Power Rangers, basically.
Oh, gosh.
It's horrible.
Blasphemy.
With that terrible thought in mind, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Spider-Man is one of the Power Rangers. That is a really... Which Power Ranger would he have been?
The Yellow Ranger.
The multicolored Ranger.
And we're going to be talking to Chance Raspberry when we get back, animator for The Simpsons.
Stay tuned for more Geek Tank Radio on 600 WREC. Welcome to the Geek Tank, brought to you by 100% Authentic Geeks.
All right, welcome back, everybody. We're here at the Geek Tank Radio. Before we get to our special guest, Chance Raspberry, it's time to announce our first contest. It's the Geek Tank giveaway. It's going to be a weekly feature on our show where you can win fabulous prizes. And this week, the prizes are going to be 2 tickets to the Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention, which is November 20th through the 22nd. That does not include travel, folks. If you win from, if you live out in San Francisco, you're going to have to get here yourself. But we will provide you the tickets. And also, Dark Oak Press and Media is going to be contributing. What are you kicking in there, Alan?
Well, I believe what we have is a hardcover copy of Kimberly Richardson's award-winning Mabon.
Right.
And we'll even get it signed by the infamous goth librarian herself.
Right. And that's and then for our younger listeners, if we should get a younger winner, we're going to instead of that, we're going to have the story A Tall Ship, A Star and Plunder, and that's by Robert Krogh.
Now, it'll be edited by Robert, and I bet we can get that one signed for him, too.
I bet we can. All right, here we go, folks. This is the contest. This is your challenge for the week. We have a simple question for you, and it is, how would Wonder Woman repair her invisible airplane? Now, we need your answer to be contained within the DC universe. We can't have you bring Harry Potter into this. This is strictly the DC universe. Whichever answer we get that we think is the best is going to win the 2 passes to the Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention and the signed autographed books by Dark Oak Press. You can send your answer to the contact page at geektankradio.com. We need your answers by Wednesday. And if, like I say, if it's interesting enough, we may even read your answer on the air. So, again, go to geektankradio.com, the contact page, and the question is, how does Wonder Woman repair her invisible airplane? All right,
your answer
folks.
has to be 200 words or less.
Yes, we don't need a novel. We don't need, yes.
200 words or less, and please understand the judges are unreasonable and subjective.
Exactly. This is extremely subjective. So,
and Brandon, you resemble that remark.
Exactly. All right, guys, I'm pretty stoked about our next guest. I met Chance about 3 years ago. He's a great guy. Chance Raspberry is on the line. He's the animator from The Simpsons. Chance, are you there, buddy?
Yes, sir. Thank you guys so much for having me. This is great.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, Chance has been invited. He's going to be an honorary member of the Geek Patrol, and he's going to be checking in with us periodically, giving us updates on the latest in the Hollywood animation world, and we're glad to have you. So, Chance, let's get right into this. Do you remember? You're not that old, but do you remember the first time you saw The Simpsons, and what was that like for you? So.
Well, thank you, first of all, for that remark. That was great. And I'm happy to be, on the younger side of artists who have broken into the animation business. And I do remember the first time that I saw The Simpsons. I was probably 7 or 8 years old, and it was 1989, and it was the Christmas special, Simpsons Roasting on an Open Fire. And I had missed 2 airings of it, but it had been so well received by the public and the ratings had been so high that they decided to show it like 2 or 3 more times before Christmas of 1989. So we were out Christmas caroling, and I just was like bugging my parents nonstop, like, we got to get back, we're going to miss the episode. And fortunately, we did get back in time, and I got to see The Simpsons first, full-length half hour after it had become a series off the Tracy Ullman show, and I was hooked from there.
Awesome. Okay, so you see this Simpsons cartoon. You're an artist yourself. So how did that? And of course, The Simpsons has a very different look to it. So how did that influence your your style as an artist?
Well, that's a great question. I actually remember my mom was the first person who introduced me to The Simpsons, and she, told me when it was first on Tracy Ullman, Chance, you got to come in here. Like, she yelled it from the other room.
Oh, wow.
You got to come check out this crazy, weird-looking cartoon on TV. So that was my first sort of, like, introduction to the style. And I loved, growing up, I absolutely loved that traditional hand-drawn animation look, and it made me sort of just be focused on animation in general, because I had grown up watching all of the Golden Age cartoons like Disney and Looney Tunes and all that Max Fleischer stuff from the Golden Age of animation, because that's what my parents grew up on, and they showed me all that stuff. So this is my first sort of like gravitation towards modern animation, and it had a huge impact on me. I just tried to look at The Simpsons and draw them all the time, and I would actually record episodes and pause the VCR and try to draw those characters, and we lost more VCRs that way.
Oh yeah, burn them out. So
wow. So, all right. So you got hooked on the show. You've been watching it and all of this. Then you got all grown up and you got to get a job. So how in the world did you get a job on The Simpsons?
Well, basically, I owe that to my school, Cal State University Northridge, pretty much, because they had an internship program, and I had done the art school hop before that. I had bounced around from a lot of. I wanted to go to Cal Arts. They said you're good, but you're not quite good enough, so they sent me to another art school called Otis, and then I went there for a year and still didn't get into Cal Arts when I reapplied. And Cal Arts is like the #1 school for animation in the United States. For anyone who doesn't know, it was founded by Walt Disney, and they actually still recruit a lot of their artists from there. So when I found this great school in Burbank, California, called the Animation Academy, and they taught me almost everything I know about actually drawing for animation. I did character design, character animation, background, storyboards, visual development, you name it, at that school, the animationacademy.com. And basically, from there, I got in touch with Cal State Northridge, and there were some students who had been at the Animation Academy who said, dude, we recognize your work from the school's brochure. You should come hang out with us. We have internships, and we'd love to take you to the studio. And I didn't really know what studio they were talking about at first, but then when they said Film Roman, I thought, why does that sound so familiar? So sure enough, I go in there first day for like a tour, and it's The Simpsons, and I'm like, now all of a sudden I'm back to my childhood freaking out, like, I'm at the Simpsons studio, and I talked to some of their people there about taking a test, and the only job they had that was like specifically character animation related was called character layout. So I took that test eventually after I waited around for a while, and I passed. I spent about 2.5 months working on the test and getting artists who I had made friends with that already worked on the show to sort of critique it and make sure it was okay. But see, the cool thing is right around that time, The Simpsons movie was just going into production, so that was taking a lot of their current layout artists off of the series. So they actually, for the first time in like 15 years, needed animators. So because I was right there as an intern already and I had taken the test, I applied and they hired me.
Wow. You had perfect timing then.
Yeah, it was very, very convenient and very, very divine. The first thing I did was I did a bunch of cartwheels, and then I said a prayer. I said, thank you, God, for this great timing.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, what was that first 5 minutes like? So cartwheels down the hall, that pretty much got it. Okay. Now.
Yeah, exactly. I ran into the backyard and screaming, and my dad, I think I was 24, and I had really, my goal in my head was like, I really hope I can break into this industry by the time I'm 25, because I had already been going to art school for 6 years. And so it was like, it was a joyous day for sure.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Okay, now, all right, you got the job with The Simpsons. Here it is. Now, you said they got the movies and they've got all this going on and they actually needed animators. So is your job year-round? Is it seasonal? Is it based on just whatever their product load is? How does that work?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Basically, I mean, it is seasonal. So when the work is done, they'll put you on hiatus. You know, they lay you off, but it's usually like a conditional layoff where they tell you when you're getting hired back. But since I was a new artist, I didn't have that. I basically had sort of like the blind call kind of thing going on, where what they basically did was they called me and said, okay, you know, the season's over. We're putting you on hiatus, and we'll call you as soon as we know when we're going to be able to hire you back. So I didn't know if that was going to happen. I didn't know when it would happen. And the cool thing is I actually was able to skip my first hiatus or two because they had so much work backed up from after the movie that we went straight from producing season 18 to producing season 19 to producing season 20. And
Wow.
I pretty much got to work from season 18 all the way through season 20 before they put me on hiatus. So the cool thing about the hiatuses, though, I got to mention this, is that it gives you as an artist the chance to work on your own projects. And that is absolutely, you know, essential for a creator who loves to, you know, draw for the sake of drawing and not just to work for somebody else. So, you know, as great as the job at The Simpsons has always been and still is, you know, I'm actually on hiatus right now, and I'm working on my own original concept for an animated series. So I'm really excited about that.
Excellent.
Okay. All right, well, let's get to the daily grind of it. I mean, what exactly are your responsibilities as an animation artist on The Simpsons?
Okay, cool. Basically, my technical job title is character layout artist, and basically what that entails is we have to take the storyboards, the script, and the voice recordings and work from those to create what will become the actual animation for the show. So character layout is the first phase of animation production. And so we have like a flat panel from a storyboard, and in that panel, all you have, it's, you know, for those of you who don't follow animation production, a storyboard is technically like a comic book. You have panels or boxes, and each one sort of shows the progressive action of the story visually. So we take that flat panel and we say, okay, well, in this scene, in this panel, you've got Homer, Bart, and Marge, and they're in the kitchen. And, you know, so you have to look at that and go, well, okay, what exactly is happening? Are any of these characters going to go, you know, behind the table or come through the door? And then what you do is you redraw in accurate proportions and details based on their model sheets all of the elements. You know, you draw the background, you create a level for Homer and a separate level for Marge and a separate level for Bart. And then they have to animate all on their own and interact with each other. So you're posing out the main characters. All of the key poses and key animation actions are the responsibility of us, the layout artists. And then we even tell the camera guys like how to follow the character, or if they need to zoom in or zoom out at a specific point in the scene. We use field guides to tell them how much to move the camera and where it's going and when to move it. So we're literally spelling out the whole scene and telling, we're creating the dots that the Korean animators will then use to connect those dots once we ship it overseas for final animation.
Awesome.
Okay.
Awesome.
Thanks.
All right. Here's where I'm going to change it up a little bit. All right. I need some little known. I need some insider. What's the skinny? What's the dirt? What goes on behind the scenes of The Simpsons?
That's funny, man. I have some. I could give you guys some crazy inside stuff. Something that I didn't know until I worked on the show is that it takes 9 months to produce one episode.
Wow.
And the reason for that is, it's just The Simpsons sort of prides itself on still being a hand-drawn animated sitcom. So they go through all of the same processes. They actually didn't stop using paper and animation hand-painted cells until season 14, which I think was 2004 or 2005, somewhere in there. And
wow.
so up until then, it was still traditional, literally. Now they use Wacom Cintiq tablets where you draw right on the screen, but everything is still hand-drawn. So you have hundreds of people working on an episode, and it's about 9 months total from when it's written to when it airs. And the other thing that I didn't know is that The Simpsons, up until recently, I think, was the only show on TV, animated, live action, whatever, to use a live orchestra to do the music.
I didn't know that. That's
yeah, me neither. It was a cool fact that I mean, and I think now Family Guy does it and maybe a couple of other shows, but for a long time they were the only ones, and they're also still, as far as I know, right now the only animated show that does layout in America. All the other shows will take their storyboards, they'll just make the storyboards really tight, and they ship those overseas, and then the animation studios overseas do the layout. So we're the last frontier for shows that sort of maintain that control and keep the layout process in-house.
Nice. So you guys are much more hands-on. So, all right, hey,
and I don't blame them. It's been on for, going on 30 years now. I think we're on season 26 or 27 that's being produced right now. And the creators and the directors, they really love to sort of, it's their baby. So they love to keep that control and really make sure that every episode is as good as it can be.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, that's something in and of itself. Just the fact that we're getting close to the 30-year mark, that still blows my mind. So, hey, Chance, okay, now you're on the show, but are you still a fanboy?
Oh, definitely. I actually tell people that this is actually a really cool story that ties right into that. Before I got hired, I would, collect the Simpsons comics. When they went from being comics, from a show to being a comic book,
right.
I flipped out. I thought, oh my gosh, this is great. And they actually had signings. There's a little shop called Golden Apple Comics in Hollywood, and my dad became friends with the owner of that comic book store. And so we would go down there and just look at comics on a Sunday. It was right by our church when we would go to church on Sunday. And when we saw flyers, Matt Groening will be here signing Simpsons #1, and I remember thinking like, oh my gosh, this is going to be worth $1 million someday. So I actually stood in line for 10 hours to get that comic book signed with my parents. We had to take shifts because I don't know how old I was then. I think I was like 11 or 12, and I met Matt, and he asked me to draw him something. And when he was asking all the kids, do you draw? And if you do, he had a whole arsenal of pens and pencils and cool expensive art supplies and Post-it pads. So I drew him like Alien from the movie Alien, but it was it was H.R. Geiger's Alien, but it was in the Simpsons style.
Nice.
And he really liked that, and he was very, kind and gracious and said, wow, you could really be an artist, keep drawing. So about 2 or 3 years later, he and David Silverman and all those guys came back to Golden Apple to sign another #1. Maybe it was Radioactive Man #1. And when I went back that time, I had drawn my own original comic book, and I brought it to him and gave it to him, and I said, you really inspired me last time I met you. I want you to have this. And within maybe 6 or 8 months, I got a letter from the desk of Matt Groening, and it said, I looked at your work. It's really great. Here's some things I think you could improve on, but, you're definitely on your way. Keep up the good work. And at the very first Simpsons party after I got hired, I got to tell him that story, and it was just the look on his face made my whole year. He shook my hand and said, man, that is so cool. Thank you so much. And hey, thank you for being on the show now and making it look great with all the other artists. And so it was a really, really awesome moment. And that is kind of my long-winded answer for yes. Even though I work on the series, I still buy the DVDs. I love all the books. The Simpsons actually got me into, it made me realize that you can make money drawing, because Matt Groening was just doing, he was doing his solo comics, Life in Hell, in the LA Weekly before he sold The Simpsons. And when I saw him go from this one strip comic to a whole animated series, I realized, like, wow, a person can actually, make a cartoon and make money drawing. So that was a huge turning point for me as an artist.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I love all that stuff. I'm still a huge fan.
Hey, Chance, we only got about another minute, but do you have, we're not allowed to talk much about this, but you have a special project you're working on. Is there anything you can tell us before you check in next time?
Yes, thank you. I'm glad you asked, Joe. I am working on my own original animated series, and it's a concept that I've been developing for about 15 years now. I created it in 1999, and I'm keeping it sort of close to the vest because I will be back in the first Saturday in May.
That's right.
1 p.m., same time, same place, to discuss that in full. But it's a throwback, honestly, to the way cartoons used to be. It's old school animation. Everything's hand drawn, frame by frame, and it's inspired by the golden age cartoons of the 1940s and 50s: Looney Tunes, Tom and Jerry, Woody Woodpecker, and Disney stuff, and the family sitcoms of the 1980s. So
Excellent.
That is the preview, and I hope you guys will tune back in on, I think it's May 2nd, Saturday, May 2nd, to hear the broadcast and details about that show.
Absolutely. Chance, it's great to have you as part of the show. You've agreed to be kind of our regular Hollywood animation correspondent, and we will be checking in with you, I think maybe the first Saturday of every month. And thanks again, man, for coming on. This was really, really interesting. So.
My pleasure, guys. Thanks so much for having me on the show.
All righty.
Awesome. Thank you.
And, that story that he mentioned about meeting Matt Groening and the encouraging words he gave him, that's a perfect segue into a little story I'm going to be telling you guys when we come back from the break.
Brought to you by Fang Floss. That's right, Fang Floss for the care and cleaning of those nocturnally enhanced canines. Waxed for your comfort, Fang Floss even removes those annoying bits of polyester. Try Fang Floss today. Floss after every nocturnal outing for best results.
I got to get me some of that Fang Floss. All right, guys, before we sign off today, I want to tell you a story about a very special woman in my life. Her name is Joan. Joan's husband walked in the door after another long day at the office. He wore his trademark smile, but she could tell there was something wrong. "Honey," he said, "I think I'm finally ready to quit. You'll never guess what Martin wants me to do now." And he went on to describe the new project his boss had assigned to him. Joan's husband was a writer for a large national publication in New York. But over the years, he'd grown frustrated with the formulaic stories this firm seemed intent on cranking out. Across town, however, his company's biggest competitor was suddenly enjoying renewed success with a new series of books they'd recently put out about a group of heroes with amazing powers. Now, rather than create something new and original, Martin had instructed him to copy that exact same formula and create a group of heroes for their own publication. For Joan's husband, it was the last straw. He said, "I've got a few ideas for a novel. Maybe I could try my hand at that." Joan turned the idea over in her head. A novelist. It did have a nice ring to it. After all, most of the men in their circles worked as doctors or lawyers or in other respected professions. Joan herself had worked as a model, and she had grown up as a woman of sophistication in Great Britain. It would be a pleasant thing to be able to now introduce herself as the wife of a famous novelist. It could have been very easy for her to push him in this direction, but she didn't. Something held her back. The famous radio comedian Jack Benny was once asked what he attributed his great success to, and Jack told the interviewer, "Well, I always play up to my audience." Joan's husband was cut from the same cloth as Jack Benny. He had a great respect for the intelligence of his readers and wanted to play up to them, but the publishers who employed him clearly didn't share those ideals. I don't know if Joan was a fan of Jack Benny's, but I like to think that she was. I like to think that, like Jack, she recognized that every art form holds its own unique power, and that power is to be respected and celebrated, be it a symphony, an oil painting, a radio show, or even a humble comic strip. As Joan looked across at her dejected husband, she was struck with an idea with such wide-sweeping ramifications that it would eventually change the course of the entire entertainment industry. With the insight that only a loving spouse can summon, she said to him, "Darling, why don't you write the story your own way? If Martin doesn't like it, the worst he can do is fire you. But you were ready to quit anyway." He stared at her dumbfounded. It was such a simple idea. But like many simple ideas, this one had somehow eluded him. Nevertheless, her words had hit their mark. The old gleam was back in his eyes, and she could practically see the wheels turning in his head. His imagination had finally been unshackled, and now all she and the rest of the world had to do was step back and hold on for the ride. Joan's husband didn't quit his job. Instead, he submitted a story to his publishers called The Fantastic Four, a story that would change the course of comic book history and a book that would launch the Marvel Revolution. So, Joan, if you're out there, I want you to know how grateful I am to you for the wisdom and encouragement you showed to your husband, Stan Lee, during that low point in his life. Because of you, the world has become a better place, a place where the good guys always win, a place that shows us the forces of evil can be overcome, and a place where flawed but noble, superpowered heroes inspire us to discover the best within ourselves. God bless you, Joan Lee. I'll always be your biggest fan.
Okay, guys, we're about out of time. So, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to like us on Facebook. Also, don't forget to get your answer in for our Geek Tank giveaway. Our question was, how does Wonder Woman repair her plane? We need to have that in with a slight correction here. We need to have that in by Tuesday. Please send it to the Contact Us page at geektankradio.com. Also, visit Jupiter Comics in Collierville, Tennessee, and check out our web pages at memphiscfc.com and darkoakpress.com. This is Alan Gilbreth.
I'm Joe Thorderson.
And I'm Brandon Olmsted, and this has been the Geek Tank.
The only radio show guaranteed to survive the zombie apocalypse. Check in next Saturday afternoon at 1 for more from the Geek Tank.